Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today I'm just going to talk to you about how I test my own homemade trading card games. Now, I've been working on trading card games for a very long time, like the majority of my life. And in recent years, the past sort of 5 or so years, I've been wanting to playtest them. Actually, it goes back further than that, but it's the past 5 or so years that I've been actually testing them. It's a method I came up with about 8 years ago when I first wanted to playtest one of my games, and it essentially goes off the concept of Yu-Gi-Oh proxies, and this would be, well, proxies in any trading card game, which would be a backwards card with a piece of paper in it to say what that card is going to represent. So it basically goes along the same concept. We have a sleeve with a card in it that's backwards, with a slip of paper in it to say what that card is. So if we take a look at this Robin Hood deck, here on the top we can see the Prince of Thieves, and the Robin of Sherwood, Forest Wife, etc. And the good thing about this is that obviously, because we are printing them off and then putting them in a card sleeve, it doesn't matter if the boxes have to be the same size or anything. You could just cut off whatever size and then put it in the sleeve. And the other good thing is, of course, that we've got a bit of structural integrity to it. Now, I thought this was a tip that was worth sharing because even though it is simple, it felt like something that people might not necessarily think of straight away. And I thought it was worth pointing out. It's probably one of the very few contributions to homemade TCG community on YouTube that I can make. That's probably why I haven't really made many videos about this kind of thing in the past. I've made a couple here and there, but mostly I kind of didn't really have anything to share because I don't really do my own artwork, and none of my games have ever really got past the playtesting stage. And as you can see, it wouldn't really be that interesting to be doing playtesting videos talking about things like this with no artwork on it. I mean, it could be more, it could be worse, but it felt like this video was something that was worth sharing. Now, you can then take a step up, as I have done in the past, and start proxying with hard templates instead, which is what I've done because at one stage, because again I didn't have the artwork. So again, there's the Robin Hood deck is there. There are a couple of cards with daft artworks in here just because I did have the artwork for those cards. So for example, we do have the artwork for Spaceband, so I just chucked that on there. So that was an interesting way of just making it a little bit more interesting to look at than a paper slip. And a step up from that, of course, is to then include the artwork, which I have done with my First World War based game, because a lot of the artwork I could just get away with stock footage and photographs and everything. I've had to actually stop using these purely because they're a bit outdated now. There've been so many changes to the game, I can't really get away with these slips anymore. So I either need to print these off again, or just carry on with the paper slips until a point where the game is finished. If I do revisit this at some stage, which is definitely going to happen at some stage, it's probably only due a little bit more playtesting before it needs to go on GameCrafter. But yeah, there's sort of 3 stages that you can go through with this process. Of course, this does require a computer and a printer, which I will throw myself over to in a second. But it is very, very helpful if you can do this. When I first started playtesting this way, I used the printers at school to print off the very first game I tried. Then it was the printers at uni, and so on and so forth. Now I do have my own printer. But yeah, that's basically how I playtest my games. This way, you don't have to send everything into GameCrafter and then have it all sent out to you to try it out in a physical format, and then have to change things and edit them as you go along. This way you can just playtest things before you ever put the cards together, before you ever put it up on GameCrafter, before anything like that. It just saves you a lot of time. And now I'm going to throw you over to the computer just to talk about how I put these slips of paper together, because again, it's pretty obvious, but it might not be that obvious to everyone, so I thought I may as well just share that. So essentially what I do is I open a Google document, or any sort of word processor will do absolutely fine, and then I tend to start a table with 3 columns and 20 rows. Now if you're just making a deck, obviously 60 cards, depending on your game, it might be perfect, it might be a bit too many. So you can just go ahead and delete some rows as you go along. What I tend to do is I tend to just select everything and knock the font size down a bit. You can change the font to whatever. I've played around with Spectral, Brie Serif, and Allegria, whatever. It depends on what the game is on, really. I felt Spectral really suited my World War I game, etc. For whatever the occasion is. And then I just fill the cards in each of these spots. And what might be helpful as well is if you just do, even if it's just even if it's just like in threes, just number the boxes, and that'll help you keep track of like how many cards you've put in the deck, etc. And then, you know, once you've put everything together, it's going to look something like this. So this is the Fortress game base set. So you've got all the cards added in their own little box. I've numbered all of them, etc. You know, you can just see everything you need to know. So what you're going to do when you come to print these is you want to go to print preview, and then obviously, well, first of all, what you're going to want to do is you're going to scroll through and make sure no card is going over 2 different boxes, because that's going to be a problem. So as you can see, this one goes over. So I'm going to want to try and save a line somewhere. So I might just, I mean, literally just get rid of that. That's not worked. Oh, there's actually a line in the card. There we go, perfect. So just get everything so that it fits on a page, and do that right the way down to the bottom. So you want to get, oh, that's not going to work. That was there for a reason. So you want to get all that stuff together, and you just want to space down anything that's too high, or try and save space on anything that just cuts off the bottom line or so, and so forth. And that's basically it. But after you've gone through the whole document doing that, I would then advise you do the exact same thing again in print preview, because despite having done this in the past, I have then been caught out with the actual printing. So then just do another check and make sure everything fits onto its page. Make sure, of course, that you know, everything fits on the page all right as well. What I tend to do as well, what I can do sometimes is, say for example, if these were like this long, so that they were coming on, I would just select this row and just take this row and put it above there, and just slap that row into there instead, and move things around. I mean, that's not really worked, because you know, but you get the idea. And then you can always just go back and version history and just go back to the document before that, so everything is in order again, or you can just undo it all, however you want to do it. And that's basically how I put them together. Okay, so once you've done that and you've printed them off, you're going to have a number of pages like this, and then we're going to just be able to just start cutting those out. Now, the amount of times I've gone down to like my locals with a bunch of pairs of scissors and just said, can people help me cut these out because I want to play this game today, is ridiculous, and I owe those people a lot of favors. So essentially, you know, it's cutting out. It's very straightforward, but I find the easiest thing to do is to make sure that obviously all of the rows are going to be equal in size, so you can just cut up the column, which again are going to be equal in width, so you can just cut up the column and then line them up and then cut them across. It's not going to give you a perfect cut, but it is going to speed things up a lot faster, so I'll just quickly do that to show you guys what I mean. So again, all the columns are the same width and all the rows are the same height. So you can more or less just line these up and just cut across. It's not going to give you the best cut in the world, but you know, it does speed the whole process along a lot quicker. And as you do this more, as well, as you do this more, the faster you're going to get doing it. Like, I'm really used to doing it now, so yeah. So as you can see, we've not got the perfect cut there, but you know, we have cut everything out in like, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes or something, from the entire piece of paper. This is actually from an update to this, which I was just talking about. Gone back down to the paper ones just because it just saves on ink, doesn't it? It's nice to try things in full card detail, but I wouldn't pay for the ink myself if I was you. Like, if you go to uni or school or anything, I would get these printed off in full colour there and do that there. Okay, so that is more or less everything. The only downside I would say to testing this method is that if you're like me and you're really weird, you will not want to throw away the slips of paper. If you're not like me, it's no problem at all, because you can just throw them away. I just can't let go of the thought that one day I'm going to want all of the slips of paper for each different like version of various games and put them all in a binder. If I wanted to do that, I needed to look after these things to begin with, like, you know, because there's going to be slips of paper everywhere that are broken, that are wrecked. So yeah, I mean, I've even got like failed print-offs and misaligned print-offs and stuff like that. Like, I literally never throw anything away in terms of like stuff for a game I've designed. It's not good, but you know, if I wanted to keep these I should have like looked after them from the start. I should have started a binder straight away, because there are just going to be like bits of paper that are wrecked. I could print them off again, but you know, then it's not the same one. It depends how psycho you want to go with it. And the last thing I thought I'd show you quickly, just go through this folder. Hopefully there's nothing too embarrassing in here, because this is literally everything to do with cards. But look, these are card template print-offs that were completely the incorrect sides and everything. It's quite interesting, actually. These are cards that were on Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories that were never actually printed. I need to cut those off one day. This is just childhood stuff, blah, blah, blah. This is where I'm wanting to get to. So here are a couple of examples of cards with artwork that I have worked on in the past year or so that you can see. This is actually when I was experimenting with being able to print it off at home, but the quality just wasn't good enough. I thought it looked pretty good, but I thought the text wasn't clear enough, especially on like cards like this where it's just like really small. The card was a bit too thin as well. Got Kaiser Wilhelm on the other side there, crossing over a big roller. Yeah, I thought I'd just chuck that in as well, like, you know, a bit of paper proxies with actual artwork and stuff on it. Although this one's technically card. Let's take a look. I don't think I got an awful lot of these done. But yeah, you know, you can do it this way as well if you do have the artwork, etc. Obviously, a lot of people are going to draw around their card artwork, which is going to make the whole process a lot easier. As you can see, like, just all these failed print-offs, and I've just kept them all. Like, seriously, I have a problem. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, if I've helped you, if you'd like to see the updates on my card games as we go along, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which you've seen this video on. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. And you can also follow me on Instagram. My link will be in the description below. But for now, thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.